Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. My name is Mark, and on today's show we have Thanos. Is he the best MCU villain of all time, or could he possibly be? A very weird Isle of Dogs poster, and The Room gets a wide release. What a story, Mark.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Oh, hi, Mark. Very weird stories going on today.
You have any idea how much I get that on a daily basis?
Probably every day. I try to increase it at least 2 or 3 times every day, multiplied. Because it's not Conja Club anymore. Now it's, oh, hi, Mark. Conja Club.
I still get my share of Conja Club. Don't feel bad and tweet me more Conja Club stuff. I'm good.
Hi, Mark. Let's go to Conja Club.
John Rocha.
I did it. Oh, hey, Mark.
Oh, God, the
There it
phone's
is.
involved.
It's the greatest showman day. Let's get it going. Opens today. Go see it. It's we'll talk about it.
We're very excited about The Greatest
so
Showman.
I love the music and the production. The numbers are amazing. The choreography is fantastic. I haven't seen this I haven't enjoyed a musical in such a long time in the theaters, and I really enjoyed the musical numbers in the movie.
Ashley, I'm not sure what they put in the iced tea at Noah's
I know, he
Bagels.
seems so hyper today. But I want to know, what is the ratio? I guess we'll get to it when we get to the opening this week segment.
We know everybody wants to know more about The Greatest Showman and Rocha's thoughts. We're going to get to that in the sidebar and opening this week. But first, we have this little MCU movie that's coming out next year, and the villain could be kind of a badass.
Yeah, with the new year fast approaching, once 2018 ticks over, we'll be only 5 months from seeing Avengers Infinity War. Kevin Feige knows how fans have been wanting to see Thanos finally realize on screen ever since he was introduced in the original The Avengers. Speaking at the recent Comic-Con experience in Brazil, via a report from CBR, the longtime Marvel producer seemed aware of the fan concern for the character and his extensive build-up to Infinity War, assuring everyone will not be disappointed. Within the first 5 minutes of Infinity War, people will understand why Thanos is the biggest and baddest villain in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mark, with Feige's comments, could Thanos officially become the best villain ever from the MCU?
Best villain ever. Yes, I think he will, and I think he's going to prove it early on in Infinity War. Kevin Feige's telling us we have to kind of believe that. I don't know what exactly he's going to do in those 5 minutes. It's going to prove. He's probably going to blow up a planet, guys. So it's not going to be Earth yet, but he's probably going to do what we've heard he can do and throw a moon or an asteroid at somebody and just totally wipe out a species. And the way that Thor Ragnarok ends up, I'm a little concerned for everybody who is still around, who was involved in that story. So I worry about the people of Asgard, and they're just set up for Thanos to show how powerful he is, because the mark of a great villain is showing how powerful they are and then also believing that their cause is just. And Thanos, I don't know if he believes he's doing the right thing. I just think he is so consumed with the desire for power and achieving the Infinity Gauntlet, he's going to do whatever he can to do that. And we've seen just in the little clips that from the Avengers or from Guardians of the Galaxy that he enjoys being evil. He enjoys wreaking havoc upon the rest of the universe and multiple galaxies. So Jon Schnepp, what could Thanos possibly do in the first 5 minutes of this movie that would make everybody sit back and say, whoa, that's the guy to fear?
Put up those spoilers, just in case people have not seen Thor Ragnarok. I feel like the very ending where you see them on the ship, and obviously in the trailer we see Loki handing over that cosmic cube. I think that'll happen in the first minute. And then we see Thanos come to Earth. Like that weird spinning cycle, Spider-Man's hair, all that stuff from the Infinity War trailer, all that stuff happens in the first 5 minutes. I think Thanos shows up in New York. The Avengers aren't ready. Thor's not there. Hulk's not there. Captain America's not there. You just see the people on the floor right there fight Thanos, get their ass kicked. I mean, that's what I think. That's the way I would open the movie.
Well, when you see the beginning of that trailer and you kind of see all people are calling the Avengers Infinity War trailer a character trailer because you just see everybody who's in the movie. And so it's a big roll call. They seem like they're all lining up because some event happened early in the movie where, okay, look, Captain America wants to just continue chilling in the shadows with his beard, and Black Panther wants to be in Wakanda, and all these different characters are off on their own thing. But then something happens that is going to force them to come together and patch up old differences and unite in the cause of defeating this. Why is that?
Let me tell you, when you look at the trailer, the one thing that always stands out, I was joking about it, but it's true. Thanos kills Iron Man in the trailer. That punch, if he can throw a moon, he can punch through a man's creation of whatever that suit is. So the rumors are that Pepper Potts, is going to suit up in Iron Man. You want to turn someone into a villain, have her do that to try to save Robert Downey, and he kills her. Thanos kills her.
She eats very healthy.
That would be right. She does. If you'd go to her website, but that would be something incredible. Of course, you don't want to, or maybe he like puts her in a coma or something where we've never seen that. And a woman being hit like that by him, like that would immediately make people hate this guy to pieces. Because the thing about Thanos is, my man's dealing in galaxies. He ain't dealing in humans. He's dealing in galaxies. So a planet and a species means nothing to him. So he's got to do something that's going to make us all feel like we want to hate him from the beginning. If we're believing this quote by Feige, then I think that's what he's going to do, something really horrific that we have not seen yet, and gone to that level that we haven't seen yet from a Marvel villain. Because the big kind of thing we talk about with Marvel villains is they're not quite as great as we would like them to be. That's certainly a way to do it.
Well, also wiping out every Asgardian on that ship
Yeah.
would also, that would count towards being a jerk.
Or, I mean, you could do something on Earth that, and it's hard to rectify this, and we have to kind of look at it through the prism of this is fantasy, but also I don't like sometimes when movies destroy so much of Earth that like there's nothing left. Like the movie Deep Impact, like 9 people survived that movie, and we're still supposed to walk out of that thing happy. And hey, we could do. Everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. You have something like Independence Day where you celebrate the disaster of it, where certain monuments get destroyed and there's cities that get blown up, but you think that people survive for the most part. But sorry, Houston. But like because they dropped the bomb in Houston, and then you have like these kind of movies where you're going to have a lot of destruction on Earth. And you even look at how that factored into the plot of Avengers Age of Ultron into Civil War, where you're talking about this city and this town, this entire country lifts up and then it gets destroyed, and you deal with the aftermath of that. And is that the fault of the heroes fighting, or is that the bad guys that did in the first place? Who's really to blame for that? Thanos is going to be a monstrous bad guy. Ashley, my question to you, and then I'll spin it to the rest of the group, is Thanos going to be the best that we've ever seen in the MCU? And who would he be taking that title from?
That is a difficult question, but I have to say, Rocha, you kind of just blew my mind with that theory, because I was thinking what could make Thanos the biggest and the baddest, and I feel like he would have to kill someone, but how could he kill someone within the first 5 minutes, like regarding the trailer and stuff? Because I felt like Iron Man would die, but that punch, it can't happen within the first 5 minutes. But that, with Pepper Potts, that would be heart-wrenching.
Right.
But I'm gonna have to say, I guess my favorite villain would be Loki, and I don't know if he's the baddest, but I just love the story behind him, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, the baddest villain doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest one. Thanos, clearly has been hitting the gym. Loki just uses more of his mind and his trickery. He is the classic trickster, and so I think that factors into why people love him. And then Tom Hiddleston is also pretty tall drink of water. Okay, so Rocha, Ashley set the bar at Loki. Is there any villain in the MCU that you think could be better as of right now before we meet Thanos than Loki?
I think the one who gets short shrift is Obadiah Stane. I love him in the first Iron Man. Jeff Bridges is a fantastic villain. We've seen, that's the dude. And to see him play this, like the being bald and the beard coming down and the deep voice that he can use, and then he assumes the larger first version of the Iron Man outfit to try to destroy someone that he had raised since he was a kid. He was going to just kill his best friend's son. There's a lot to that, and nobody talks about. Like, they kind of fumble the ball. Baron Zemo's kind of boring. They kind of fumbled the ball a little bit with Red Skull. But I think Obadiah Stane, people have to go back and really appreciate that guy. He was going to destroy someone he knew and raised from birth, and that's pretty horrific, and then going to take over his tech and use it to destroy millions. I mean, he was working with terrorists. He was working with people who were trying to overthrow governments behind Tony Stark's back. So that's a huge villain for me that doesn't get enough credit.
Who is the villain that is the one to beat right now in the MCU, Schnepp?
Well, I mean, you have your one and dones like Stain, Red Skull, Dark Elf. No one cares about him. Malekith got short shrift.
Is Dark Elf? Who's Dark Elf?
The Malekith from the second Thor. Nobody cares. Boy, it's like out of all their villains, Loki is the most memorable and the one who's lasted the longest and who's actually going to be in this by Thanos' side. So I feel like Thanos doesn't really have an equal like right now, and he's been built up over the last 8 or 9 movies since Avengers. As this coming threat. So this is the movie that we finally get to see that threat land. So that's one of the reasons that I think Feige's saying, well, when this threat finally happens, it's going to just, obviously it happens over 2 movies. But
yeah, I was gonna ask you guys about that. I mean, let's just talk about the Phantom Menace. Okay, let's say that because we were so built up with Darth Maul, and we were so excited to see this character. This could be the bad guy in the new trilogy, and then he gets off to the end of the first one. Right. Is there any risk of that happening with Thanos, or is he definitely going to be surviving both movies, or at least the bulk of them?
I think he not only survives both movies, but he's probably victorious by the end of Avengers Infinity War. I feel like if they're not going to go from the comic book to snap at the end, it's like I feel like it's kind of a good setup for Avengers 4 as well as the rest of the Phase 4, whatever you want to call. Yeah. I mean, it seems like everything just kind of fell. It's like Feige's some master chessman. It was just like literally everything just fell into place. So. And I haven't seen the film, so I can't, I want that to all work. I want it to be incredible. So I'm hoping the first 5 minutes I'm not crying and have some kind of weird seizure. It's like,
you kill Pepper Potts.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the movie, there's going to be some huge display of power where it's like you throw a moon at a planet or something like that. The end of this Infinity War, I think, is where that could factor in, whether it's Pepper Potts or Hawkeye or Cap or Tony or somebody is not going to make it out of Infinity War, and that might be the linchpin to get us into the next movie to really give our heroes that extra charge they need to go fight Thanos with everything they have. My favorite villain in the MCU, I would definitely go with Loki, but let's not forget Arnim Zola, played by Toby Jones. He's kind of the creepy underling to Red Skull, but then we see how important he was in the development and the continuation of Hydra through Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Robert Redford, very good in that as well. So the MCU has had some nice villains in there. They just haven't had the presence movie to movie to movie other than Loki that we might have wanted. I think Thanos is going to come in and change that in Infinity War. All right, let's move on to a very different kind of story, but like Avengers Infinity War, this next film we're going to talk about is getting a wide release.
What a story, Mark. According to THR, the film regarded as the worst movie ever made will finally get a wide theatrical release. The Room, which debuted in just 2 theaters in Los Angeles 14 years ago, will officially play for 1 day in 600 theaters this January 10th. The film, which is the inspiration for the James Franco directed The Disaster Artist, was financed, produced, written, and directed by Tommy Wiseau, and centers on a man named Johnny Wiseau and his best friend Mark, Greg Sestero, and a love triangle with Johnny's wife, Lisa. Though dubbed the worst movie ever made, the film has gone on to become a cult classic, with Wiseau telling THR that he's hoping to also have a screening at the Hollywood Bowl on the film's 15th anniversary, which is June 24th, 2018. Schnepp, thoughts on The Room getting a wide theatrical release 14 years later?
Boy. Well, I mean, when I first heard that, I was like, what? And then people told me, no, it's just 1 day. I was like, all right, I guess that makes sense, I mean, it's such a horrible movie. I mean, it's rightfully the story is told right in The Disaster Artist, based off Greg Sestero's book. I mean, but let's be blunt. If you're, hopefully you're seeing The Room with a bunch of people who know how to respond to the movie. That's what I would say. And if you're not seeing it, the charm of going to see The Room here in LA over the last couple of years before all of this hype was seeing Tommy Wiseau show up and then him coming at the end of the movie and understanding that it's just a really bad movie, horribly executed, just a conundrum of problems. But yet there's that guy, and he's saying, what do you think of my comedy? And like, you didn't make it as a comedy. There's this whole thing that's there, and then I hopefully it doesn't get so meta that gets lost, or maybe it should and just explodes and The Room takes over the world. I don't know. So.
It's going to be weird to see what it does financially in 600. Fathom Events is putting it out in Fathom. Like, if you've been to a movie recently in the theaters, you've seen Fathom event ads, and so they do things like Broadway plays they tape and they put into theaters for one night only, or like music concerts or big fights, something like that. Ashley, can you imagine going back to seeing The Room? We had the pleasure of enjoying it from a certain point of view a couple weeks ago when we did the Collider video commentary. Could you see yourself going to a theater and enjoying a night out with The Room?
When we would talk about this movie on this show before seeing it, I was like, why is this so overhyped? You guys stop talking about it. But then when I finally saw it, I understood. I finally understood. And I have so many friends that have not seen this movie. it would be hilarious to go with them again.
Rocha, how many of your 66 friends are going to go see The Room?
I have a strong contingent of like 20 friends who go see this every few months and bring the plastic spoons and do the whole thing. I've never seen the movie. I've resisted it.
Really?
Yeah, I really have. And because I don't know, I don't get a joy out of watching bad movies that are in like just bad, not made intentionally bad or like playfully bad. They're just legitimately
But this
bad.
one is so bad that it is funny.
I got it.
Look, I was saying,
I wanna
I was
believe
singing
you.
the same
I wanna
song
believe
2
you,
weeks
but-
ago.
Yeah.
And then we watched The Room.
All
Watch
right.
The Room.
But I think this is great for him because The Disaster Artist, that's a damn good movie, man. It is really sweet and it doesn't betray the guy. The guy is really an unsettling guy to be around, a weird guy to be around. They don't cut corners with that dude, but that relationship between him and the character played by Dave Franco is so sweet and tender. And what happens, all this. So you kind of champion this idea that it is going to get released theatrically. I think you never know how you make it. Even by accident, he made it by accident. That and later on in the film, when what happens, the reaction to the film in the theater, it's not what he expected. But in the end, it becomes a success. They're only doing it one day and only at one time, 8 p.m. across the country, one showing, and I think that's great. And if they do the 15th anniversary, which is weird to celebrate the 15th anniversary of anything, but that would be fine too. So I champion this idea. I think this is a great idea, and I probably will finally go see it. With my 20 friends.
The movie came out in 2003, and if I'm looking at this in just dollars and cents, if I'm sitting down with my financial investor and I'm saying, hey, I have this very long-term project I think could eventually make money. This film cost $6 million, all things told, when it came out in 2003. Since then, with all the screenings that they've had around Los Angeles and other places, it has made its budget back. So the movie has grossed over $6 million. Now it's being released for a day or two in 600 theaters. What kind of dent is that going to make in the box office, Schnepp? Can you see this thing cracking the top 10, top 15?
No. Absolutely not. I mean, I think, it's
The
like...
Room takes down The Last Jedi.
Yeah, World of Wonder. I mean, we live in a brand new world. It's The Room is a world. It's like, it could become a religion. Who knows?
I think this means it gets a sequel, though.
I think this is like
too.
This in 3 years is doing double features with Ed Wood. This is playing with Tim Burton's Ed Wood. So that's how I feel. The film The Disaster Artist is playing with Ed Wood, and then The Room relegates to the cult world that it's still in, like the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think it works on those levels.
Yeah, keep your eyes open on Box Office Mojo. Whenever The Room comes out, it's probably not going to crack the top 10 or top 15 because there's so many Oscar movies that are going to be getting wide release that people are interested in, as well as all the family movies around Christmas time. Whenever this film comes out, keep your eyes on the per-screen average. I'm very interested to see what that is. Usually, it's around, if it's a movie that did pretty well, it's around 8,000 to 10,000. Star Wars: The Last Jedi did 50,000 per screen in its opening weekend. So keep your eye on that number. Very interested to see how The Room does. Well, there are some movies opening this week that might get a little bit of a wider release. Will they be as critically acclaimed as The Room? Time will tell. What do we got?
First up is The Greatest Showman. Inspired by the imagination of P.T. Barnum, The Greatest Showman is an original musical that celebrates the birth of show business and tells of a visionary who rose from nothing to create a spectacle that became a worldwide sensation. Also coming out is Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. 4 high school kids discover an old video game console and are drawn into the game's jungle setting, literally becoming the adult avatars they chose. What they discover is that you don't just play Jumanji, you must survive it.
I'm going to open the floodgates for the very caffeinated John Rocha to gush about The Greatest Showman, and I'm going to ask you, in how many scenes is Hugh Jackman wearing my blazer from The Last Jedi premiere?
5 of them.
Wow.
5
He
scenes.
stole it from me and Kevin Bacon.
Look, this is what I'll tell you. This film, story-wise, this film is too easily solved. Conflicts are too easily solved. Stuff's good, but the production numbers are amazing, and the music, and the lyrics, and the dancing, the choreography. Zac Efron, I'm slowly coming around on him. Really enjoyable in the movie. Hugh Jackman, this is what he does. I mean, we love him as Logan Wolverine. It's amazing to think this is the same guy. He's such an incredibly talented actor. So that's what I would say. If you're looking to enjoy some musical numbers, go see the movie. If you're looking to see this complex story in a musical, you're going to be disappointed. This is just a fun time in the theater if you can just enjoy yourself and get carried along by the movie and you enjoy the music, because the music is just pulsating throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, as you guys are following along in the chat room, either here on Collider Video or in the Schmoville group on Movie Talk following that, let us know, what are you going to see this weekend? Is it going to be The Greatest Showman? Is it going to be Jumanji 2? Is it going to be The Last Jedi again? I will now pose that question to Ashley Mova. You're in a theater, okay? Let's say the room isn't playing yet.
Oh,
so you can only go to Jumanji 2 or you can go to The Greatest Showman. What are you taking?
Both seem good, but I'm definitely going to see Jumanji. And that's because, honestly, well, first of all, the trailer looks hilarious, but sometimes musicals just get a little bit too much for me. Like, if there's too much song, I want some spoken talk.
There's a lot of spoken stuff.
What's the ratio here?
It's about equal. I would say 50-50.
Oh, God.
Because there's a lot of
See,
talking.
you're losing me.
There's a lot of talking, then a song. A lot of talking, then a song. Yeah.
Okay, I can take that.
Yeah.
But, 50-50, that's a little
So
bit
Les
rough.
Miserables was not your thing, because
No.
they sang the whole movie. Yeah. Respect.
Jon Schnepp, what do you take?
When you're a jet. Now, is it like, is it that kind of thing where it's like Mr. McGringle, like some dude just starts singing on the street? Or is it,
Do they launch into song unprovoked, or is
Yeah.
it like, hey, everybody, we got a musical number?
Yeah.
Not unprovoked, but from the first opening is a musical number. So you, in a sense, it's almost like you're at the theater
But is it
watching.
like Oliver, like people like dancing in the streets and stuff, or is it in the three rings
Yes.
of the circus? I'm not seeing it. Well, because you know why? Because P.T. Barnum was known to be a scumbag. I think circuses are gross and like torturing animals and like whipping elephants. So I'm not going to support that. And that guy specifically, I mean, I don't care that Hugh Jackman is playing that person in the movie. Look him up. I mean, and you see what he really
Is
looks
he
like.
playing the actual P.T. Barnum,
Yeah.
or is
Yeah.
it somebody that I thought it was like a fantastical
No, it's-
launch that a circus-like guy?
No, it's
he's
P.T.
playing-
Barnum.
Ah, well, yeah,
it's-
that changes
that's,
stuff.
that's why to me I'm like I'm not going to support it. But I think Hugh Jackman is incredible. See Les Mis, you know.
Yeah, but I don't think the money's going to P.T. Barnum's estate.
No.
I don't think.
No, but I'm talking-
I mean, I don't think. I don't know though. I don't think.
I don't care where the money's going.
Okay,
I'm
fair,
not going to support
fair.
it.
But Jumanji's great. Jumanji's
yeah,
a blast.
Jumanji is something you've also seen. You got to interview The Rock in Hawaii.
Yeah.
What a tough life you lead. Jumanji is something I'm really interested in seeing, and I'm surprised how excited I am to see it because I get the first one. I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. I never like emotionally connected with that movie. Just never really cared about it. But this one, it's called Welcome to the Jungle. They have the great opening guitar riff that is just a siren's call. God, I love that riff so much. And it's well used in the trailer. But the actual movie looks pretty fun. I like that they updated it somewhat, that it's now a video game. You get thrown into this world. You have a certain amount of lives. So you can sign off that it's going to be a good time.
Absolutely. And Mark, I'm like you. I didn't think the original was that great. I thought it was one of more the middling efforts from Robin Williams during that time in his career. And so I went in kind of like one, and especially coming off of Baywatch, here's another remake of something. I was worried what this was going to be like. But this is actually a really fun time in the theater. It's very sweet movie. It's got a good heart because these kids are trying to figure out, like you remember being in high school, trying to figure out how to stand on your own 2 feet and how to confront your insecurities and know that you can accomplish things. And throughout the movie, that's what it's really about. And the acting from The Rock, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan in encompassing these kids and also their avatars in the game is just incredible. Jack Black, you forget sometimes how good of a comedic actor Jack Black is, and you remember it in this movie. And The Rock once again shows you he's not just a buff guy who can do action movies. There is a real vulnerability to his acting at times that can shock you and surprise you. And and Karen Gillan is hilarious, and Kevin Hart does what Kevin Hart does. So I absolutely highly recommend it, even if you haven't seen the first one, because there's only 2 allusions to the original movie, so you don't need to have seen the first one. You can go in blind and just enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I don't think I need to see The Greatest Showman. I might check it out anyway. I'm with you, Schnepp. The songs, the dance. I don't need to dance. I make money move. Let's move on to buy or sell. This is a part of the show where we are going to simply say whether we buy or sell a premise given to us by Ashley Mova, who I'm very glad got that reference. What do we got first?
Oh my gosh. After months of wondering where Andy Serkis' Jungle Book movie adaptation was, Warner Brothers, has finally unveiled a new title and synopsis for the film. Previously titled Jungle Book Origins, the movie has been retitled Mowgli, along with the reveal of the first synopsis. The story follows the upbringing of the human child Mowgli, raised by a wolf pack in the jungles of India. As he learns the often harsh rules of the jungle under the tutelage of a bear named Baloo and a panther named Bagheera, Mowgli becomes accepted by the animals of the jungle as one of their own. All but one, the fearsome tiger Shere Khan. But there may be greater dangers lurking in the jungle as Mowgli comes face to face with his human origins. Rocha, buy or sell the new title and synopsis for Andy Serkis' Jungle Book movie.
I absolutely buy the title. I think it's a smart move. People loved that live-action Jungle Book, so you want to separate yourself from the comparison there. Calling it Mowgli means you can go any number of directions with it because it's about the character of Mowgli. So I think it's smart. The synopsis is really unnecessary. Everyone knows about the Jungle Book. So I think a better synopsis would have been a little more, kind of what else are you going to do that we haven't seen before with this character. Would have been better to have a synopsis like that. But the name change is great. And I like the last line. There may be greater dangers lurking in the jungle as Mowgli comes face to face with his human origins. Because we know at the end of the Jungle Book is when he walks into the city and to become a human, but we don't know what happens afterwards. So this feels like it's going to tackle what happens afterwards. So maybe the first part of the movie is him growing up, doing all this kind of stuff, and then he confronts the humans in the jungle, which I think was part of Jungle Book 2, the romance and all this kind of stuff that happened there. So I think that's what's going to separate it from the jungle, from the one that Jon Favreau did. So I think it's a smart move all around. You make it seem as if it's not just the Jungle Book story. There's more to it. And you call it Mowgli so it doesn't have comparison issues.
Yeah, I'd buy the synopsis. I really buy the title change because, like Rocha said, you do want to separate it from the Jungle Book, the kids movie that we all know and love. Now it's called Mowgli, and that means that we might have a different spin on this and maybe a more adult take, a scarier take, a darker take on what goes on with this human's upbringing in the jungle. We're going to get some classic notes of the Jungle Book. It is based on the same Rudyard Kipling story, but I think we're going to go in a very different direction with this. Here's some interesting notes, too, is that while Jon Favreau, when he made his movie, he went pure CGI recreation of the animals. This is Andy Serkis directing, and it's actually performance capture, a lot like what you see in the Planet of the Apes movie. So that's exciting to see what's going to appear better on screen, what's going to look more realistic. I think either way, you can't go wrong. And listen to some of the other vocal talent in here. Christian Bale is playing Bagheera, Benedict Cumberbatch is Shere Khan, and Cate Blanchett is the snake Ka. It's a pretty damn good cast here too, Schnepp.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny, Rocha. You reminded me of, remember Tarzan, and then they had a movie called Greystoke.
Yeah, Greystoke, with,
which is like,
Lambert,
Tarzan's like hanging out with, he's got a suit on and stuff, and it's sort of, I thought of that, like Mowgli is like, just hanging out, like I used to live in the jungle. I don't know. This movie, I love Andy Serkis, but this just sounds boring.
Really?
It just sounds like, check it out. I saw it already. It's called The Jungle Book. I don't need to see Shere Khan again. I don't need to see the snake again. I don't care who's playing it. Unless it's radically different. I mean, it's like, because there were hardly any songs in the Jungle Book. They like referenced.
They gave us notes.
Yeah, they gave us little like, oh, remember that? Oh, yeah. I mean, but the Jungle Book was so well done, such a different approach to the cartoon version of the Jungle Book, that this version, just because they calling it, like originally it was Jungle Book Origins, Yawn, now Mowgli, who cares? I mean, I just feel like bad for Andy Serkis because I would have rather seen Andy Serkis' film first, but you have those competing films where they didn't come out the same summer, which maybe they should have, because now it feels like way too late.
Do you think that there's something that a trailer could do, or what would that have to do to get you excited about this movie? Would it just be seeing the way the animals look? Because I remember everybody getting blown away the first time they saw the Jungle Book trailer and how realistic the animals look. Different technology to bring these animals to life. Would it be that, or would it be the actual tone of the film?
Got to be the tone. I don't care about like talking animals anymore. The Jungle Book put that down, stamped it as like, now that, look, I could see a wolf talk. That's not going to be impressive to me anymore. I mean, it feels like once these benchmarks get hit as an audience member, you're like, already seen it. I've seen wolves talk, little baby cubs. Like, where's Mowgli? I'm like, look, that wolf is talking. It's not shocking to me. Get somebody human, right? Like Grand Moff Tarkin. Like, I'm a weird doll creature. Like that, that throws me out of the movie. So, I mean, once they nail that, maybe. But the tone has to be completely radically different from Jungle Book. It's got to be like either like a horror film or thriller or suspense. It just has to be tonally different. So maybe that's what they did over the last years, like kind of worked it so that it has a different tone.
Okay, Ash, I know we dropped a pretty penny getting that talking wolf for Schnepp for Christmas. We might have to just take that thing. Do
we
still
might
have the
return
receipt?
it. We might return it, just like this buy or sell. Because I'm right on board with Schnepp. Like, I really do feel bad for Andy Serkis because the other Jungle Book movie was so great. It was so great. Everyone's just going to compare the two, and it's almost like, oh my God, that movie was really good. We have to change the title. Let's change it to Mowgli. Oh, their cast was so great. Let's hire this amazing cast too. It's like it's kind of like a little bit too late, you know?
I like this discrepancy on the panel. A little bit of wrestling involved. I think Rocha and I think that Mowgli's a great name change. It harkens to a different Jungle Book. You guys think it's just them trying to pull the wool over our eyes and not let us see that this is going to be the same story after all. Wool come from sheep, who, as far as I know, do not talk. Let's move on to a poster that is going to have dog lovers either enchanted or creeped out.
Fox Searchlight Pictures has released the new poster for Wes Anderson's stop-motion feature, Isle of Dogs. The movie marks director Anderson's second animated film, following the Academy Award-nominated Fantastic Mr. Fox in 2009. Isle of Dogs tell the story of Atari Kobayashi, a 12-year-old caring for the corrupt Mayor Kobayashi. When all the canine pets of Megasaki City are exiled to a vast garbage dump called Trash Island, Atari sets off alone and flies across the river in search of his bodyguard dog, Spots. Isle of Dogs is set for release on March 23, 2018. Mark Bartel, the new poster for Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs.
I'm gonna buy it, and it took a while for me to do so because when we looked at this poster this morning, we're all like, I thought dogs were cute. Like, I'm a big dog fan, and like, I don't even think Sarah McLachlan would sing for these dogs. I think she's just like, all right, you guys go have fun on your island. But then looking at the poster, if you're looking at the poster, to the right of the poster, to your left, if you're looking at it head on, there's a cute dog. I found the cute one.
Where
and
is
it's
it?
the one with the big eye, and he's just like, oh, he's like scared.
the
Look at
left?
him, he's a little scared little pup. Yeah, so I did find a couple cute dogs in there. None are Molly level, but there's some nice dogs that I see in there. And I am buying it mainly because I did see the trailer for this a couple months ago, and I really liked the trailer. Thought it was fun. It did have some people divided. I'm interested to see what the panel here today has to feel about it. Jon Schnepp, they're talking dogs. You've seen it before.
Right.
Will you see it again?
I'm buying this because guess what? I saw the Fantastic Mr. Fox, and what a fantastic movie. So to see him return to the stop motion animation style, I love the trailer. I love the poster. It is somewhat disturbing. I'm glad it's not a bunch of cute dogs looking at you like with like puppy dog. Give me a treat eyes. It's like some of them are scared. Some of them had a hard life. Like every single dog in this picture has a story behind it. So to me, that's intriguing. I don't want a bunch of cute dogs. I could care less about a cute dog. I want a dog that's got a story, like Cal. Mark Riley's dog. That's a dog that's got a story.
Cal also does talk, but is also very cute. John Rocha,
Yeah.
you yourself, cute dog. What do you think about these pups?
I love this because I'm a big fan of Wes Anderson stuff, and I did like Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's one I go back to all the time to watch because he has so much respect for the stop motion animation stuff and the Harryhausen stuff. And he said Akira Kurosawa really motivated a lot of what he does in this film. So being a Kurosawa fan, I can't wait to see that. But I like this because we don't need to see. These are basically another species, human beings. You can see yourself in one of these dogs. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I see Ashley Mova in a couple of these right now. No, but like, what's great? There's such great, unique designs. You know, one has the cover, one has like bandage over the eyes, one has like the hat on
There's
the
a
head.
robot dog.
There's a couple of robot dogs. There's one dog with two different eye colors. There's another dog here at the bottom with a baseball jersey because we know in Japan baseball is huge, right? So you have the different names, different colors, and I think to me they're supposed to and they're on an island and they've been banished, so they're not going to be all pretty and groomed. You know, this is not Lost where somehow miraculously everybody's like perfectly coiffed. They've been on an island for years. Like this is something where you see kind of like they're mangy, they're angry, they've been excommunicated from what the trailer seems to be like some kind of made up reason. So the fact that they're going to get saved, we're going to see how that goes down. And I think you don't want to see pretty dogs. You want to see dogs that, like, you know, kind of feel you could relate to them a little bit and the struggles they go through. So I like it. It's a nice poster, absolutely, because they're all just staring at you going, are you coming or not? You know, so
These dogs do look like they can play poker. Ash, I know you have a dog at home that's got he's got a lot of fluffiness to him. Could you see
Oh my
him?
gosh, she's a she.
her?
I have two dogs. One is a she, one is a he, and
Okay,
the
look.
fluffy one is
whoa.
a she.
It bugs me too if I'm in the elevator in my apartment complex and somebody sees Molly. They're like, "Oh, what's his name?" I'm like, "It's a she." Do you not
Exactly.
see the? It's a she. Read the ask before you tell. Sorry about that transgression
Thank
against your
you.
pup. Can you
Thank
see
you.
either one of them on this poster?
I didn't, thank goodness, because this poster looks so scary. I've never seen more dogs with blue eyes in my entire life, but I do buy the synopsis of this movie. I might not go see it just because it's going to make me cry so hard. Oh my God, why are these dogs on an island alone by themselves? How are they going to find food? I'm already crying.
To be honest, some humans get dogs as far away from them as possible. Maybe we could go visit the island because we've proven
Okay.
that we're dog
Worthy.
fans. I don't know about Schnepp because him and talking animals. Look out, everybody. We're going to move on to Mailbag, but before we do that, I want to remind you guys that we have the top 50 superhero movies of all time. Keeps on rolling. The list getting thinner and thinner as the herd is emerging, and the top of the pack is coming up very, very soon to the number one superhero movie of all time as voted by everybody here at Collider. And also, this Friday, the Schmodown Spectacular. It's back again. It's our huge Super Bowl WrestleMania event of the year. The Schmodown Spectacular, Part 2. Let's roll a quick clip. Once again, the Schmodown Spectacular 2 airs this Friday, December 22nd, right here on Collider Video. Share the vid, tell your friends about it. It's going to be a whole lot of movie trivia mayhem, and I'm very thrilled to be able to call all 6 matches. Cannot wait for that. Speaking of stuff on Collider Video, subscribe right now if you haven't already, because you can catch an all-new episode of Heroes hosted by that sweatiest of sweatiest, the nutties of nutties, Mr. Jon Schnepp. What are we talking about today? Some more MCU stuff?
Yeah, we got a lot of MCU stuff. We're going to talk a little bit more about the DC slate with the upcoming possible Superman. Matthew Vaughn, is that going to happen? Mark Miller chimed in about it. So there's a lot of new stuff to talk about.
And as we move on to Mailbag, I want to remind you guys at the end of the show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us at Collider Video. And before we get too deep into Mailbag, I do want to take this time because I am hosting today and I'm hosting Movie Talk tomorrow. And then I'm off. We're off next week for the rest of the year, 2017. So I want to thank Mr. John Rocha and Mr. Jon Schnepp. This is the last time I'm going to get... You're on the panel tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
So we're not even going to worry about you.
Yeah.
Jon Schnepp, thank you for everything that you have brought to the table this year. You've been an amazing panelist. One of my favorites, even when you do that stupid S-rat face.
Thanks, man.
Oh, boy. There it is. Spoke too soon. And this is the last time that I will be hosting with Ashley Mova in 2017. We've been through a lot of stories together. We've been through a lot of Disney, Fox. Are you? She's doing the face too. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I appreciate everybody up here at the desk as well. And I'll get gushy about Rocha tomorrow, but
Sure.
we'll worry about that. I'll prepare my. Are you doing the teeth too? God, cannot stop these rats in this studio. I thought ants were our biggest problem. Nope. All right, let's move on to Mailbag. This is the part of the show where you guys can write in anytime. ColliderVideo@gmail.com. What are they talking about today?
Blair writes, "Hi Collider, what are your thoughts on the probable online drama we will experience next May when the release of a Harrison Ford-free Han Solo film, given the troubled production and the current caustic environment regarding The Last Jedi? Scared."
Well, Blair, it's a valid point because of all of the back and forth and the divisiveness, if you want to call it that, of The Last Jedi, where a lot of people had feelings about The Last Jedi that they didn't like it or they didn't like certain scenes in there, and that's all valid, as well as the people who did love and celebrate The Last Jedi. With Han Solo, we might have already been ushered into a new era of Star Wars where even that is not immune from being released and having people have different feelings about it. I think we always just kind of assumed that Star Wars movie is going to come out and they're all going to be great. We're all going to love them. We're done with the prequels, and now we have The Force Awakens, and that seemed to be celebrated. But even The Force Awakens, after a couple weeks in release, fans started being divided on that one too. I don't think you're ever going to have a movie that comes out that is just so universally appreciated and celebrated ever again, because everybody has access to the rest of the world with social media. So I wouldn't worry about that, and I would remind everybody to just be confident in your own fandom before you worry about everybody else's opinion tainting your own experience of a particular movie. Now, with Han Solo, there are some hurdles to get over. The biggest one is we need to buy Alden as Han Solo. There's another guy that used to play Han Solo, and he was pretty damn memorable. So that's the biggest one to me. And then we also have the reshoots that Ron Howard comes in and does 80 to 90% of the movie is now different from what it was originally with Lord and Miller. That's what we're hearing. That trailer is going to do a lot to sell us and steer us in the right direction or down a dark path. How do you think the fan reaction is going to be, Schnepp, having not seen any footage of the movie?
Right.
Can we make an educated guess at this point?
Well, I mean, it is a weird one because, I mean, The Last Jedi, I mean, it's kind of shocking how negative a lot of people, especially a lot of fans, have gotten with it. You know, as a kid, I saw Empire Strikes Back, and there was no internet. And I can only imagine what people would have been like with The Empire Strikes Back, and how angry and betrayed they would have been
How
that
did
Darth
you
Vader
feel?
was Luke's father.
How did you feel when you saw Empire Strikes Back?
I was shocked. I was blown away. I was like, it was just a new part of this movie. I never thought I'd get a second Star Wars film. So I remember I think I was 12, 13 years old, I walked like 15 times. Like, my parents would let me walk 3 miles to this theater.
Wow.
I would go and sit there, and I'd see it like twice, and then I'd come back. It was my summer. It was one of the most amazing experiences. And I'd see a bunch of other science fiction and action, weirdo films that were coming out that year. I can't remember all the other films that came out in 1980, but I remember Empire Strikes Back having that really emotional resonance with me. And I feel like Last Jedi, I mean, people keep comparing it to Empire Strikes Back. It's not like Empire Strikes Back. There's elements in all of the Star Wars movies that have echoes and mirrors to all of the other parts of Star Wars. I mean, look, Force Awakens had a Death Star. I mean, you could go down that rabbit hole if you want to, but I saw Last Jedi a second time yesterday, and I found it to be a lot more emotionally gratifying, at least for myself. I think the story really connected a lot more after some of my expectations or what I thought was going to happen was gone. I just saw the movie as what it is. And, I mean, to be blunt, I mean, I think everything works a lot better, like, without having all these ideas like, where's your Snoke theory? Who cares? Then you get to just watch the character as written by Rian Johnson, and everything is kind of like, really feels like it works. So, I mean, whatever, I drank that Kool-Aid, fans. I mean, if people who hated it, go on and hate it, I guess, if you want to, or you feel like you were betrayed or it ruined your childhood or something. And look, I'm not going to say it's just a movie. I almost did say it's just a movie, because people get really upset with this kind of, like, the people have this emotional fandom built over 40 years. Guess what? So do I. But, like, for Han Solo, the Solo film, is it going to suffer from a Justice League, like, one director's vision taken away to be another person's? I don't think so, because it's not following suit from 2 other films that Lord and Miller made. It's not the same thing as Zack Snyder having already established a world, and now they're kind of like taking it and going in a different direction. I think Star Wars already has its world established. It's not going to be Robot Chicken anytime soon, unless it's called Star Wars Robot Chicken. So I think the Lord and Miller change, like trying to get away from some of the humor that we heard was in there that might not have worked too well, I think that was probably the right choice. I mean, look, you have to kind of trust the people behind the scenes who are actually making these things, as opposed to having your own opinions about it. Not that your own opinions don't matter, but they kind of don't matter because you're not making the movie. So we have to wait until we see Solo. I think Ron Howard is a great director. I'm sure it's going to be a fun film. I can't say whether it's going to be a great film or not. Don't know the script, haven't read it, haven't even seen any visuals from it, but I'm not going to prejudge it.
It could have been a very awakening and coming-of-age summer for Jon Schnepp in 1980. If you're around 12 or 13 years old, you go to the theater to see Empire Strikes Back. You ever sneak into the Blue Lagoon?
No, I actually didn't have to sneak in. I went and saw it.
Okay. Yeah. Saw the Blue Lagoon.
Oh, yeah,
with Brooke
Shields. Yeah.
That's gonna, maybe awaken some feelings inside
different kind of awakening, Mark.
The Force was awake. All right, John Rocha, how do you feel about all this Han Solo stuff? I think the one thing we can say is that if we compare Han Solo more to Rogue One, is that the expectation is going to be somewhat lower, and we're not worried about so much connectivity movie to movie. The only thing we really need to focus on is if this has anything in it that is going to make us question, well, if that's how Han Solo's here, then why did he do X, Y, and Z in the later movies that we've already seen? If we can get away from that, I think we could just get swept up in a standalone adventure.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. And I appreciate Blair saying probable online. There's no probable about it. It's going to be caustic. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be back and forth. And so, some of the people that I know who spoke to certain people who've worked on the production, not getting the greatest responses of what they think, how the film is going to come down. So we'll see what Ron Howard does in the editing room. We'll see how it all comes out. Who knows? We hear all kinds of stuff ahead of time, and then the movie turns out to be fantastic. Wonder Woman is a perfect example of that. So, but I think it's absolutely going to be divisive. And the thing is, we were 12, 11, 10, whatever, when we saw it as kids. We didn't have access to Twitter and to go crazy and whatever. And so that's the difference nowadays. Those of us who were 11, 12, 10, 13, whatever, when we saw the original trilogy, now we have access to all this technology, and we just go crazy on it. And I don't understand the anger. I really don't. Like, you should be happy that they got even close to doing something fantastic in Last Jedi. And a lot of people think they did something really fantastic and new and revolutionary. So it wasn't too long ago we had those prequels. And if you're going to defend the prequels and tell me Last Jedi was terrible, you need to get the F on out of my room. Like, it's ridiculous to me. So this is the kind of thing. You can have your feelings, your vision. And with John, if you go see it once and think you got it, you're Albert Einstein. Go back and see it a number of times. Then you'll see it. Because great movies, you have to sit back and unpack. Now, you may feel the same way when you come back home and you're like, no, the things that didn't work really didn't work. Things that did. But if you think you can get the entire thing of what Rian Johnson was trying to do in this movie and the way he was trying to change everything about the mythology of it, then congratulations, you're effing Albert Einstein. You're part of the 1% intelligentsia in the world. So, but that's not true. This film is actually incredibly complex and dense. And when you go see it, it took me 2 viewings. Like the first viewing, I was like, I walked out and was like, this is a lot to unpack. Am I okay? And you have to confront your own stuff, which is, what am I bringing to this movie when I walk through the door expecting Rian Johnson to give to me? And what am I opening my mind up to see is possible in the world of Star Wars? So if you're having your issues because he didn't do the movie you wanted to do, then get off your ass and go make your own Star Wars movie. If not, then give this guy a little bit of credit. Go back and see the movie again if you've only seen it once and give it a chance to let it breathe. Know the moments are coming, the changes, the switches, the turns, and then see how you feel when you come out.
I got to say, zero spoilers, but Rian Johnson's Last Jedi kind of opens up the world of Star Wars in a brand new, refreshing way and kind of closes certain doors and expectations that are what a lot of fans maybe would have expected because of the replication and it's the same story and it's this. Well, I know how it's going to go down, and I love that. If this isn't going to happen the way you think, that line from Luke is so true in this film, but it is true for everybody. I think the film has so many truths to it because of the whole idea of what is failure. So I mean, these are things that are like really kind of high-minded, and I like that a Star Wars movie is doing that.
The whole film is about letting go of the past and embracing a new future.
Ashley, it's so weird that a conversation about Star Wars went to The Last Jedi. I don't think we should turn down Rocha's caffeine drip. I kind of like it like that.
I don't know. I almost forgot even what the question was because I went over so long.
I don't think it all depends on the performance of Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo as to how divided. Because people are going to love the movie or they're going to hate it or they're going to say, oh, well, it wasn't really necessary. And part of me still feels like we didn't really need a Han Solo movie, although I will be one of the first in line to go see it. Do you think that it's going to be as polarizing as The Last Jedi?
I'm sorry, I can't even remember the question.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
I was looking up the live Twitter question.
Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move on to live Twitter questions, but I appreciate you guys' very passionate thoughts. I have mine as well. And Han Solo, it's hard to answer how divisive that movie is going to be, but once we get a trailer, it's not really a question of the movie coming out and fans going back and forth online that weekend. Once the trailer drops, that's going to be very, very interesting, and I'm sure a day remembered by all here on Movie Talk. Make sure you and your iced tea are available. Okay, let's move on to some live Twitter questions, and we will call it a day.
Okay, Albert writes, which Fox franchise should have their own land in Disneyland?
Ooh, I like that. So if you have all these Fox movies, all these Fox properties that are now acquired by Disney, you could potentially make some room for them in one of Disney's theme parks, a la Star Wars Land. So I'll throw some ideas out there, and I think the one I'm going to settle on is you could have a Predator, or you could have an Alien, or you could have them both going at it together. What if you had like an Antarctica landscape? And Alien vs. Predator, not the greatest movie of all time, but you kind of went down into this cave, and it's like you're the cave diver. You're going down, you're exploring this like weird spaceship. Then all of a sudden, boom! Here comes an alien. Boom! Here comes a predator. It's kind of like the Haunted Mansion in a way. That's my ride. Beat it.
Maybe a Planet of the Apes ride, or an Independence Day ride where you're in the plane after you get the speech from Bill Pullman and you're fighting the alien and having to launch that thing or launch the virus or whatever. That might be fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm trying to conceptualize what the apes would sound like. Schnepp, can you help me out with that? It just kills me. Very good. Is that the ride you want? You got any other? I think that's the ride that he wants. Ash, we're throwing some ideas your way. What do you? You're just terrified of the apes?
Are the Simpsons owned by Fox?
The Simpsons are
Yep.
a 20th Century Fox property, but they
But-
also have a ride at Universal, so I don't think
No.
that's going to happen.
Let's bring it to Disneyland. Let's bring it to Disneyland.
Have you been on the Simpsons ride? at
I
Universal
haven't.
Studios?
It's fun.
It is so much fun. They have like because you put on the 3D and it's like the Star Tours where you're just sitting in like a room, but the thing's jostling you all around. They have one like that that's Transformers themed at Universal. This is not about the movies at all. The Simpsons ride is more fun. It's more fun. It's hilarious, and you actually feel like you're in the ride more than I did with Transformers.
Do you stop in the comic book shop and have the guy?
I think comic book shop guy is in the
Actually,
line.
I don't think he's in the. I don't think he's in the ride.
It's just like I was laughing. It was so exciting. The Simpsons ride is one of the best at Universal Studios. Okay, let's do one more question, then we're done.
Okay, Chris Woodburn writes, over or under 50% that Avengers Infinity War will crack $2 billion.
You're welcome, Mr. Woodburn. $2 billion at the box office. So now you're talking about Force Awakens, Avatar kind of numbers. I'm struggling to think of another movie that cracked $2 billion worldwide, and I think Avengers Infinity War has all the muscle to do it. I mean, you judge on that trailer alone, and it looks you're getting everybody at the marketing campaign. They know how to market these movies pretty well. It is the first official movie of the summer. It comes out the first weekend in the summer of 2018. So I think $2 billion is within range. How do you feel, Schnepp?
That's a lot of money. I mean, obviously, none of us are even like, oh, 1 billion, no problem. I mean, we're not even worried about $1 billion because we're like, they're probably 200 million first weekend, 180 million second weekend, worldwide numbers, blah, blah, blah. So you're like, it's already at $1 billion by the close of the first month. Can it get that kind of money over the 3 following months? Can it do another $1 billion? I'm not going to say it can't. I mean, because the anticipation of this film is definitely the highest anticipation of any Marvel film. It's probably on borderline Star Wars anticipation for Avengers Infinity War. So hard to say. I mean, definitely $1 billion. It's, feel pretty confident saying it'll break $1 billion, unless the critics are like, it's the worst film in the world, 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, what? It's like maybe then it would maybe not make $1 billion, but $2 billion, it really is hard to say, but I'm going to say, why not? If any film can, Avengers Infinity War feels like it could.
I just wonder how the release of the Avengers here in the United States and when it came out around the rest of the world, if that got the rest of the world on board with the MCU and getting excited about these movies coming out. There's 3 movies that have cracked $2 billion, and it's Avatar is number 1, Titanic is still number 2, and then The Force Awakens. There's a huge drop-off after that. The number 4 movie, Force Awakens, made over $2 billion. The next movie on the list is Jurassic World at $1.6 billion. Okay. And Jurassic World and the Avengers, you may remember, both cracked $200 million domestically. So it's a tall order. After seeing this list, I don't think Age or the Infinity War is going to do it. I think it's going to get close, but I don't think it's going to do it. It's not. It's going to be a huge event. It's not a cultural iconic moment like Force Awakens, Titanic, or Avatar were. How do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's under 50%. I think, well, if you look at Avengers made 1.5, Avengers Ultron made 1.4 billion. So the track record is there that it will at least cross $1 billion, maybe even $1.5 billion. But also, when you throw it into a competitive summer, it's going to make it really difficult that people are going to go back multiple times, enough people to push it over the 2 billion mark. I would be surprised if it crosses 2 billion, because I think you're right, Mark, what you said. Cultural touchstone, Star Wars touches multi-generations. The Avengers doesn't necessarily do that. It's going to be interesting to see how the film turns out. If it's a incredible, like 100% or whatever, then possibly. But I think there's a lot of factors working against it crossing 2 billion, because we don't even know how long the film's going to be yet. If it's 2.5 hours, there's a limited amount of screenings you can do, that kind of thing. So we'll see. I think it's under that.
It just depends on how many of your friends are worldwide that can all line up to go see that movie. Okay, Ashley, so Jurassic World made $1.6 billion worldwide. Is it going to beat Jurassic World?
Oh, that's... I don't think it is.
No?
No.
All right, because the first Avengers movie made $1.5 billion worldwide, and that's still the highest grossing MCU movie worldwide to date. I think it's going to beat Jurassic World. I just don't think it gets quite to $2 billion. But we wait to find out, and I'm sure there's going to be a show you can tune into daily that's going to talk about it. Thank you guys for tuning into this edition of Collider Movie Talk. Stay tuned later on today. Jon Schnepp's going to be hosting Heroes later on this week and All New Jedi Council. And like we said, the movie Trivia Schmodown Spectacular Part 2 airs Friday, December 22nd. I want to thank my esteemed panel for the last time this year, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Where can everybody find you and your creature noises?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp, and check out my YouTube channel, Schnepp Zone. Subscribe today.
And Mr. John Rocha, who I will see tomorrow, maybe wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, possibly. You guys can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and Instagram. The Jumanji interview with The Rock, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black, it's still up on the channel. Go take a look at a great promo off. And Perry and I reviewed Greatest Showman. That's also on the Collider channel.
You got some interesting info out of that cast, finding out who came up with the name Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, Jack Black did that on set while they were shooting. He came out, he just suggested it to Jay Kasdan, and Kasdan was like, great, that'll be the title of the movie.
Does not surprise me that Jack Black was the one that came up with that. And last but certainly not least, Miss Ashley Mova. It's been a fun year with you. Where can the kids find you?
That it has. You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
Don't worry, there's going to be a whole lot more Disney acquiring Fox stories for us to talk about in 2018. I'm merely Mark Ellis. You can follow me at Mark Ellis Live. I'll be at the Kansas City Improv doing shows on New Year's Eve. So you can go to my website as soon as I update it to get tickets. So give me a couple hours. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.